guys, today I'm filming a first impression and follow-up on the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. I've heard amazing things about this from people that have oily skin and like full coverage, so I have some pretty high hopes that this will work well for me, but we shall see. And just jumping right into the details, this foundation as well as the rest of the Peach collection is exclusive to the Too Faced website and Sephora, so you cannot find this collection or this foundation at Ulta or any other retailers, just Sephora and the Too Faced website. This foundation does retail for $36, which is actually very standard for a high-end foundation. It's actually cheaper than a lot of other high-end foundations, but what's amazing is that standard foundations come with 1 fluid ounce of product, but this foundation comes with 1.6 fluid ounces of product, so you are getting a ton of product for your money. So that makes the price even more worth it. So I was really happy to see how much product that you get in this. For the shades, there are 12 shades available. I think that Too Faced can definitely expand on that, and I hope that they do, but it looks like they have a really decent shade selection from very fair to very deep. I do have the lightest shade Snow, which Sephora describes as fairest with rosy undertones, which scared me because you guys know I have a very strong yellow undertone. So I went and swatched it in store, and this color appears very yellow tone. So it looks like it's gonna work out for me. I really hope so. So to go over the claims of this foundation, it says that it is going to give you medium coverage, it is good for all skin types, it has a matte finish, and this claims that it will smooth the look and feel of the skin, last up to 14 hours, we'll see. It has an oil-free formula. It will never look cakey or mask-like because apparently there is an exclusive comfort matte technology used to create this product, and it smells like peaches and sweet fig cream. I'm a little nervous about that. I do not like scented products, especially sweet smelling things, and from what I've heard, this smells a lot like that fig cream. So we'll see. Hopefully the scent will go away quite quickly, and let's just go ahead and jump into the application. So as you guys know, with all of my first impression and follow-ups, I will be applying the foundation on one side of my face with a sponge. I'm using the Jessie's Girl Complexion sponge. And on the other side of my face, I'll be applying it with a brush, and I am using the Sigma F80 Flat Top Kabuki brush. So for the packaging of this foundation, I think it is absolutely gorgeous. I love this peach ombre coloring here. You do have a little sticker with the shade name, and the sticker is a little peach, which is so cute. And as you can see, it is like a squeeze tube with a pump. So now let's get into the demo, and let's see how well this pumps out. You guys know I've had, oh, that was very fast. Good. You guys know, if you saw my review of the Ulta Demi Matte Foundation, I had the worst time ever getting the product to come out. So that was fast. I don't know, that looks kind of dark. We'll see. Oh no, it looks okay. It looks okay when I dot it on, but on my skin it looked a little... Okay, I can smell a little bit of sweetness, but right now it just smells like foundation, so I'm happy with that. We'll see how the color looks when I blend it out, but right now it is looking slightly peachy. Ugh. So here I have it dotted on my skin. I didn't put too much on right now just to see how far this will go. So taking my damp sponge, I'm just gonna press it into my skin. And yeah, I'm not really smelling much sweetness, which is great. Okay, I feel like that evened out my skin tone a tiny bit, but didn't really give much coverage. But then again, I also probably didn't put on enough product. So this is 1 layer of foundation with a sponge versus no foundation. So now I have the foundation dotted all over this side of my face. Going in with my brush, I'm just going to press this into my skin. It seems to be blending out quite easily. This is a pretty runny consistency foundation. Not too bad, but I definitely wouldn't say it is thick or moussey. So here's 1 layer of foundation applied with a sponge versus 1 layer of foundation applied with a brush. I'd say the coverage looks about the same. So here's 2 layers of foundation applied with a sponge versus 1 layer of foundation applied with a brush. I definitely say that it is buildable. Right now I would say that we have maybe light medium leaning medium coverage because I can still see redness and a lot of freckles on my skin. It isn't terrible, but I was hoping for a little bit more coverage, so we'll see how buildable it is with a brush. So here's 2 layers of foundation applied with a sponge versus 2 layers of foundation applied with the brush. I feel like the brush did give slightly more coverage. I'm not able to see as much of my redness peeking through on my cheeks. As I said, overall, I would enjoy a little bit more coverage, so I am going to apply some under eye concealer and set my face with the Dermablend Translucent Loose Setting Powder, which is not going to give any color coverage or mattify me. It is just going to set my skin, and right now it is 10 a.m., so I will check back in with you guys in 4 hours. Hey guys, it is 2 p.m. and I'm back for my first check-in. I wanted to update you guys on a couple things. So after I applied this foundation, it did not completely set down, but it did set down pretty well, which I find to be very impressive. For me, with most foundations, none of them really set themselves, and I always use a powder anyway, but I did notice that it didn't really feel really tacky, sticky, or wet, but it didn't dry down so matte or so quickly that you wouldn't be able to apply and blend out concealer on top. So it was like the perfect medium right there. Also with the shade, I think it looks pretty good. Maybe it's a smidge dark, but honestly, I think it looks great. I don't think I'll need to add in any mixer, which is fantastic. I was nervous about that. And for the scent, honestly, I noticed a very, very faint sweet scent, but it wasn't intense. Thank goodness, because I was really nervous about that. I can't smell anything on my face right now. And when I was applying it, I noticed a hint of a scent. And then when I smelled my brush and my sponge, I noticed it a little bit more, but it was not intense or overwhelming. So that's really fantastic news. I don't feel like the color oxidized on me at all, which is also amazing. And after 4 hours, I can say that I am basically completely matte. I can feel the teensiest bit of oil around my nostrils, and well, actually no, not really my forehead. So I'm very impressed that I am basically completely matte at this point. Another thing I wanted to point out is because this is a comfort matte foundation, is this going to be something that people with dry skin can wear? And I have a slight bit of dryness right now between my brows and on the bridge of my nose, and the foundation does look slightly patchy in those areas. Only when I get really close up, and maybe if I'm paying specific attention to those areas when I'm applying it, I won't really have those issues. It isn't significant, like I cannot see it unless I'm looking for it, but I did want to let you guys know that. But I am very happy with the way that my makeup looks at this point, and I will see you guys in another 4 hours. Hey guys, I'm back for my second check-in. It is 6 p.m. so I've had this foundation on for 8 hours, and I wanted to give you guys an update. I'm still basically completely matte. Like, again, a tiny bit of oil around my nostrils, but not enough where you can really see it. Something I can just feel. I don't feel greasy on my forehead. Like, I'm very impressed with how matte I am at 8 hours. Like, I know it's winter time and I'm not sweating, but like, color me impressed. I'm so excited for this. So all good things to say right now, and I will have a text post at the end of the night once it's been 12 hours, and then I'll be back tomorrow to give you guys my follow-up. Hey guys, I am back for the follow-up portion on the Too Faced Peach Perfect Foundation, and I'm really excited for this follow-up because I decided to change it up a bit so it is more interesting. So along with that foundation, I also have the primer and powder that are in this line. So this is a deluxe sample of the Too Faced Primed and Peachy Cooling Matte Skin Perfecting Primer, and this is the full size of the Peach Perfect Mattifying Loose Setting Powder. And I have yet to try these products, so I'll give you guys some little mini first impressions on the primer and powder as well. But I wanted to test all of these three things together to see if the primer and powder maybe help prolong the wear, help keep me matte longer, if the overall appearance is nicer. I want to test all of these things together to see if these make a difference. But if I did that all over my face, then I might not really be able to know if it made much of a difference. So on one half of my face, I'll be using the Too Faced Peachy products, and on the other side of my face, I'll be using just my go-to standard primers and powders. So on this side will be the Too Faced Peach side, and this side will be my other product. So the other items would be the Lancome Le Base Pro Primer, the Smashbox Photo Finish Pore Minimizing Primer just for the large pores, and then I wanted to use another loose powder, and I have the Maybelline Fit Me in the shade 5 Fair. The only thing is that the Too Faced Peach powder is mostly translucent, and this one does have a bit of color to it, but I wanted to use this is semi-mattifying and it's a loose powder. So I wanted to do something that was a little bit comparable in that way. So I hope that this actually like shows something, or at least is fun. I'm excited to try it out. So let's just go ahead and do that. And to apply it today, I will be using the sponge. And yes, the brush did give a little bit more coverage, but you guys know that I just prefer using a sponge in general. So we'll be starting with the Too Faced side. I'm just gonna squeeze out a little bit of this primer. It has like a light peachy color. It does feel really smooth on the skin, and surprisingly it actually does feel cooling. I saw that claim and I wasn't really sure about that, but it definitely does feel cooling. I don't necessarily feel like this primer goes a long way, but that probably has to do with the consistency and that it isn't a super silicone primer. And I don't really notice any kind of a scent with this primer. When I'm doing this and the air is coming up through the packaging, I can smell it, but I cannot smell it on my face or on my hand. So that's fantastic to me. And then we'll go ahead and apply primer on the other side. So I've got my Lancome, which is more of a silicone primer. So this is really smoothing on the skin and just glides on really easy, similar to the original Smashbox primer. And then for the Smashbox Pore Minimizing Primer, I did think about putting some on this side because I don't think this really claims to fill your pores, but I'm just gonna do it on this side so we can see how that looks and see if it really makes a difference. So just pressing this into my large pores and then smoothing over towards the outside of my face. Now I'm gonna go ahead and apply the foundation, just dotting this all over my face. And I think yesterday I didn't really use as much as I needed, so I'm gonna go ahead and use a hearty amount. I really love this pump because it's super easy to control and I can push out just a little bit of product at a time, which is really nice. So now going in with my sponge. And it's blending out really easily, but you know, yesterday without any primer, I didn't really have any trouble with that because this foundation is so thin that it blends really easily into the skin, but it isn't too runny. I really love the consistency. So here's one layer of foundation applied with a sponge on the regular product side versus no foundation. And here we have one layer of foundation applied all over. I'd say right now we have a really solid, light medium coverage. It really did even out my skin tone quite nicely. And for the application, I think that the foundation did apply really easily. I don't have any patches. It was really super quick and easy to blend out. And I would say that I had an equally easy time on both the Lancome primer side and the Too Faced primer side. And I believe a lot of that just has to do with the formula of this foundation, with how easy it is to apply and blend out. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply a second layer. So now I have 2 layers applied all over. I definitely think it was buildable and I do have a solid medium coverage. I am going to go back in with a little bit more product just on my cheeks to try to build up the coverage where I have that redness. So I just applied that extra product on my cheeks and I actually don't think it gave any coverage this time. I think my redness is showing through just as much. So I think in the future I will just do the 2 layers and then I will try to apply MAC Pro Longwear Concealer on my cheeks, but maybe there's just like a limit to how buildable this is, but I am happy with this overall medium coverage, and that is what the foundation claimed. So now I'm going to go ahead off camera and apply my under eye concealer and under eye setting powder, and I'll be back for the face powder. So the under eyes are all done, and now for the powder, I am going to start with the Too Faced powder since this one is translucent and the Maybelline does have a tint to it. I don't want to mix and match there, but I will be using the same brush. This is the RC Cosmetics Angled Flat Top Kabuki brush. I really love this for pressing loose powder into my skin. As I said, this is the first impression for me of the powder as well. The packaging is so gorgeous. Whenever I use this up, 100% I will keep this packaging and use it for other things. So it has this little pop-up top. This definitely does smell like peaches, and I'm just gonna dump a little bit into the cap. So then just taking that RC Cosmetics brush, I am going to press it into my skin. I can definitely smell the peach in this. The peach scent in the powder is much stronger than in the foundation or the primer. and it seems very finely milled, which is really nice. And I think it's supposed to have like a slightly peachy tint to it to be a little bit brightening or blurring or some baloney like that. And as I was talking, a little bit of that powder got in my mouth and I could taste it. Pretty tasty. So now that is all done. It definitely didn't give me any color, and it didn't necessarily mattify me, but I'm not oily at all. But I definitely don't see any shine on the side of my face. My face does feel completely set, but it isn't too dry and it doesn't look too dry. So I am quite happy, at least with the application, and we'll see about the wear time. So then moving on to the Maybelline Fit Me loose powder. I absolutely love this, but as I said, this one does have some color and it gives a teensy bit of coverage, and it does an okay job mattifying, but it isn't specifically a matte powder. And I could have used my translucent powder, but that one isn't mattifying at all, so I wanted it to be somewhat similar in those properties, and this is my favorite loose powder. So just picking up some powder on the brush, pressing it into my skin. You can definitely see that there is a little bit of color here, but because it is loose and not pressed, the color doesn't show up too much. And feeling the sides of my face, this one feels a little bit more set and mattified, and I did use about the same amount of product. You can see this side does look a little tinge lighter, but once I have bronzer and everything on, you won't really be able to tell. All right, so guys, it is 11 o'clock. We got a little bit of a late start today, but I'll be checking back with you guys halfway throughout the day to see how these two sides compare or differ and give you my final thoughts on this foundation. And I will continue to try out the primer and the powder and all the products together. And in my monthly favorites of this month, I will give you guys my final thoughts on all of those items in case you were interested in those other products as well. So I will see you guys in a couple hours. Hey guys, it's 7 p.m. and I'm back to give you my final thoughts on this foundation and to show you how these concoctions held up. So if you remember, this is the side with the Lancome primer and Maybelline powder, and this is the side with the Too Faced primer and powder. And I feel like we look totally matte all over. I don't really notice any more shine on either side of my face. But when I do go around and touch my skin, I am able to notice that I do feel more oily on the side with Lancome and the Maybelline, and I feel more matte on the side with all the Too Faced products. So as I said, I would definitely continue to test out the primer, powder, and foundation all together, and I will also test out these products with other things, and in my monthly favorites I will give you guys an update on my full thoughts on all of those products so I can figure out basically whether I want to buy the primer in the full size, whether it makes enough of a difference for me. So I'll make sure to test that out with some other foundations as well. But also that goes to show you that you don't need to buy the whole line, because here I am using a random basic silicone primer and a drugstore setting powder, and I am still looking very matte. So this foundation is the really great mattifying product itself, so you don't necessarily need those other Too Faced Peach products to go along with it, but they do all work together nicely. So I'm really happy with the way that my makeup looks and the fact that I am still pretty much completely matte. Of course, it is the winter time. We'll see how this holds up in the summer, but I'm really happy with that. So to give you guys my final thoughts on this foundation, as I said, really happy with the mattifying claims. I do find that to be true. And for coverage, as I said, I was able to build it up to medium with 2 layers, but I'm not able to build it up beyond that, which isn't that big of a deal. We'll see how well this works when I put my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer on my cheeks to see if those things will blend together nicely. I do love the consistency of this foundation. It isn't too thin or too thick, but it is a little on the thinner side, but it is just super easy to blend out onto the skin. This does set down a bit, but not fully set. But I like that because it's easy to build and blend and you don't have to work really quickly. I love the packaging. I think it's super cute, but also this pump is fantastic and you're able to really control how much product that you want to get out of this. You can put the exact amount you want on your skin. I love that the scent of this is very, very faint. You don't really notice it. So really I just have positives to say about this, but I do not know if this would be a good foundation for dry skin, because yesterday I told you I had a little bit of dryness on the bridge of my nose and in between my brows, and I did notice it clinging in those areas. So if you do have dry skin, I would just recommend using a really nice hydrating moisturizer underneath of this, and then you shouldn't really have much of a problem. And if you're dry skin, you probably don't need to set this, or maybe just with a loose translucent powder, just a tiny bit of that, and you'll be good to go. So I'm really impressed with this foundation. I try not to get my hopes up too much because a lot of times I'm just really disappointed with foundation, but I'm absolutely in love with this so far, so I'm really excited to use it more, and hopefully I love it still this much at the end of the month. So I would love to know your all's thoughts if you tried out this foundation. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.